Hi, welcome
Uh,
back. And let's
Okay.
get started with the next question. So, Nene, please take it away.
all right. For our sixth question, could you please give us a few examples of the different areas of medical research and also explain the trends of medical research in the past decade?
Mm.
Okay. Uh, the first question is the different area of medical research, right?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So, for the medical research, we may classify it into the preclinical research or biomedical research and the clinical research. The difference is about the process that we are working with the research and also um, the subject, or how can I say, like the experiment, the study that we are working on. For the clinical research, most of them they are working with the patient. They work with the human being, so that for the work in the clinical research, they would study anything in the patient, and the research design is based on the population or the patient or the people that they are getting involved. For example, you may note when we have the pandemic of COVID-19 and the company that developed the vaccine. And before the vaccine can be approved to use in the real world, in the real society, they need to test for the efficiency of the vaccine in even the prevention of the infection or in the prevention of the severe complications. So that they need to test the vaccine in the real people. And another kind of the clinical research is about uh is called observational study. You don't need to do any intervention about the patient. You don't need to give anything to the real patient, but you observe the phenomenon that will be occur during your follow-up time. For example, you are curious about one factor like PM2.5 and the incidence or the occurrence of the lung cancer. You can observe the one who exposed to PM2.5 in the air and the one who live in the environment without PM2.5 or with less PM2.5 and follow up them for some certain time and then check up whether the lung cancer occurs in those people. Yeah, so sometimes we can call the clinical research as the epidemiology study because they work on the statistic in the people, in the human. And another group of the medical research is the biomedical research or the preclinical research or the experimental research. For this one, we don't have to work with the real patient, but we are setting up the model that can be like a representative of the patient or representative of the disease. For example, my work, we are working on the cancer biology. So we use the cancer cell lines that are isolated from the tumor, the real tumor from the patient. And we work with them in vitro, in the test tube, in the laboratory. We test the drug, we observe the progression in the in vitro system, we observe the aggressive phenotype of the cancer cells after we intervene something in them. So this kind of like the preclinical study. And another thing that is in trend right now is the combination between the preclinical, the biomedical research, and the clinical research. We call the translational research because we work in the lab largely, but we try to translate the findings in the labs, in the experiment, to the real patient. For example, sometimes we note one protein or one gene may have some important roles for the development of the cancer aggressive phenotype. And we think that if these proteins are highly expressed in the patient, those patients might have a worse prognosis, have a bad progression of the cancer or of the disease. We can pick up that protein and test whether the patient they express this protein or not, and then try to do the statistical analysis to see whether what we see in the finding from the experiment is something that really occurs in the real patient. And for the second question, you asked about the trend of the research. Because nowadays we have a very good technology and we don't need to work for any factor one step or one factor by factor, but we can look at one picture as a whole. So the technology that is quite important nowadays for the biomedical research is the omics technology. You may know that because now we are in the post-genomic era. We know about the human genome, but the omic technology allows us to work more in a further step. Like we have genomics, that is the DNA level. We move to the transcriptomics, which is the RNA level. We move to proteomics at the proteins level. Metabolomics at the metabolite level. Those are the products from the previous omics. And we can integrate all to see the phenotype at the same time that we call phenomics. So this kind of the research in the biomedical area is quite important right now because it helps us a lot to discover the nature of the disease. Another hot issue about the medical research is the assisting from the AI, from the artificial intelligence. So AI, they try to use the AI to help or to facilitate the medical research in many fields of the research area, including using the AI for interpreting the research results, or even in the clinical area, they try to use the AI to help the diagnosis, such as using the AI to read and interpret the radiographic, like the X-ray film, or using the AI to interpret the biomarkers for some disease. So and many things, I think many things that the technology can help us today, but for the main two technology that I think is highly influenced right now is the omics technology and the artificial intelligence.
Oh, so do you think, in your opinion, if like skills with computer and AI usage is crucial to become a more like a better researcher or become more efficient when you're doing research?
I would say it helps you, but yeah, it helps you, and it's better to help than doesn't help. But AI is not everything. I mean, because myself, I don't work with AI so much. So and I might say that I'm very low tech person, so that AI is not my favorite. And I rarely use AI for working in my research. I still use the classical biological or biochemical method to work on the research. And if you track back on my publication, it's just to feel that I use a very high technology for helping me to do a research. The first reason is that I'm not very high tech person. The second one that I'm a new researcher, so that I'm not very rich. I cannot afford for a very high technology. So I would say the most important thing is about your idea, your basic knowledge. And if you can set a very good research questions and good hypothesis, you can use the hypothesis to drive the method or the research methodology. to address that research question. And sometimes the AI can facilitate you to address the research question, but it doesn't mean that if you don't have the AI, you cannot do that. You can find another way using your basic knowledge. So if you have the AI and the skill or the high technology, it would help you a lot. But if you don't have, it doesn't big matter. You can like yeah using the you can use the skill or the knowledge from the basic side, come back to the basic, and it's also help you. So
I see.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your insightful comments for our questions. And seeing that
mhm.
you're like a very successful medical researcher as you won the first place prize in the Biomolecular Molecular Horizons 2024 conference. We would like to ask you on your opinion on what you think success means and if you think you're successful. And do you have any tips for us high schoolers to become successful as well?
Okay, thank you for thank you for this question. And actually, I can't say that I'm really successful right now because it's just a beginning. And for the award, it's not just only myself, but it's because of my medical student as well. And the award is doesn't totally means that you are successful, but it's just like the reward for your hard work, for your steadiness, and for your responsibility. So for that award, I think the one who deserves to be complimented is my medical student because he was working very hard. As you know, being a medical student, you have to study very hard, and you need to manage the time very good, and you need to have a high responsible to work on the biomedical research because as I said, we need to follow up what we have started very closely. Yeah, and okay, so how can I encourage for students? Just keep doing best for for whatever you are doing, and then yeah, the the good thing will be rewarded you after that. As for that award, it's totally come from my student. He has raised the questions by himself. This is one of the examples that you can pick up any problem that being around you to be the research question. For that guy, he asks about doing the intermittent fasting for the weight reduction. You know the intermittent fasting, IF, right? Yeah, because when we do or we practice the IF, we are allowed to drink only the water. But his question is that if we drink the water and add some artificial sugar, which provide no calorie, provide no energy, should can we still use that one as the intermittent fasting? Does it affect to the weight reduction or not? That is very simple questions, and the research design is straightforward. We raise up the mice and we induce them to have obesity, and then we need to starve them. We need to fast them for day and the day after. We use the alternative day protocol to fast the mice. It's all very low tech protocol. We don't have any high energy, high technology to work on that. But the most important thing is the responsibility of student, of the researcher. He needs to come to the animal center every day to change the food for the mice, to make the mice being fasted and to change the food every day. And we keep that one for I think 3 months until we can collect the data from the mice. So it's very hard. It's very big task for medical students, but he could do that. So for that award is actually totally for him. And then it's not actually just for how big impact the research is, or how wonderful, how fantastic the result is, but yeah, is I think it's like the reward for his responsibility, and everybody can achieve that if you love, and you pay attention more, and you have set a very the appropriate goal, and find a way to reach the goal by yourself, by your heart.
So would you define success as like a product of your hard work and your efforts?
I I don't know. I would say hard work is not the real answer for everything, because hard work is not the answer for everything, but you have to do or have the smart work. As we know, sometimes we doing the hard work, and then we ignore our health. We ignore ourselves. We don't have the time to reward ourselves. That one is not a good idea for me. I think, yeah, the hard work is important, but the other side of the hard work is the smart work, or thinking smart, or think have a smart planning. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, so you can manage it. Yes.
It's really nice to hear you mentioned like the balancing of hard work and mental health. And
Yeah.
so, for our final question for you, do you have a role model who you think has achieved success? Who are they, and what makes you look up to them?
Uh, my role model, I think they are my advisors, my mentor. So there are many people, I would say. The first role model for being a good teacher and researcher is the mentor when I was in the high school. As I told you earlier, I was the members of the Junior Science Talent Project of NASA, Ministry of Science and Technology at that time. And I have a very good opportunity to work with one university professor. Actually, she is not in the medical school. She is the professor in Faculty of Science in Chemistry, and she is organic chemist. And that time I work about the Thai herb. I extract the compounds from the herb. And we're just doing the organic chemistry for extracting, identifying the compound, but I have no idea, any idea about the development of the drug. But I keep working with her, and I can learn how to design a good research protocol, how to raise a good research question, and what process that we should be concerned when we are working in the research field. I keep working with her since I was in grade 10 until I finished my high school. And when I was the first year medical student, I was still working with her. And because she knew that I was a medical student at that time, she she helped me to study and learn more how to translate the basic science to the medical side. I have the good opportunity to work on the compound from the plant that might be developed as the anti-cancer drug. And then I had a good opportunity to work with a professor in Belgium. I went to Belgium for a short time uh, by her suggestion. And then, yeah, I have learned a lot how the basic chemist can help the medical researcher to develop the drug. And in the medical school, when I was a PhD student, my advisor is another person who is a good role model, because um she's kind of the hardworking person, but she has always has a time for her student. Even though she needs to work in administration in the medical school in the faculty, but she still has the time for every student, and we can approach her, we can ask her, we can give a good advice when we are working on our thesis. And this person, she become my role model as a medical teacher. So that's why I always, even not should actually always, usually have time for my students. Even being very busy, I will find the time for my students, and I will find the time for the younger if they need my help. And I think my help or my time could be any benefit for them, such as for today. Even though it is the national holiday, but it doesn't matter for me. I can like have the time for you both. If my talk or my story can be benefit for you and the other people who attend your series, your interviewing series. Yeah. And another people, they are the doctors who are working in the preclinical department. So I don't say the name for today because there are many people, but those people, they are a role model who are studying medical school, in the medical school. They are studying to be a medical doctor. But after that, they become the scientists in the biomedical field, and they are very successful in working about the biomedical experiments. And some of the knowledge are really translated into the clinical practice nowadays. So, yeah, I would say they are all my role models. Actually, there is just only one who are very perfect, and they could be the role model for every aspect. But in each one, they have a good side that uh I pick up their good side to be a model for me to follow. And I hope that someday I could do a good thing like them.
Well, thank you so much for joining us in this interview. And I also feel like you're a role model for a lot more people as well, like your students and even us, because I think that from this interview, your journey has inspired me to want to pursue like a medical researcher occupation. So thank you so much for joining us.
You're very
ขอบคุณ
welcome.
ค่ะ
Thank
ข
you
อบคุณ
so
ครั
much
บ
ขอบคุณค่ะ